Make sure you're stocked up before you start this. It's crooked. So tonight on the TW, I'm going to be moving that fender up to where it really should be on a dual sport. I've got the same thing done to the TW200 here, and I've already been in some situations where that's definitely paid off. If you guys haven't seen those videos, I've got a whole bunch of them out there, both on the TW and the TW. If you're interested, I put a new video out every week, so hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. I've got the ProCycle bracket here, which is a nice heavy piece of material. They send you all the fasteners, everything you need. I will be reusing my stock fender. Of course, you can buy an aftermarket fender and use whatever you want. I might try that out eventually, but for tonight, we'll just see how the stock fender looks. It's welded on. So we got the 4 or 5mm Allens we've got to pull off down here. So we got 8mm on one side and the Phillips head on the other. Boy, Yamaha really likes those thread grabber nuts. I guess I do too. Like little teeth in there to grab the threads. Much better than iLock nut, that's for sure. Save those for something else. Then this bracket will not get used again. We'll just set that aside just in case. Just in case what? I don't know. Actually, that's not true, I do know. Ever since I got the KLR totaled out on me and had to kind of scramble to find all the stock parts for any of the parts that I wanted to keep, I've decided that I'm gonna make sure that I save everything so I can put everything back to stock if I would ever have to have another bike carried off to a junkyard, so I can keep my aftermarket parts for the next one. So next up, I'm gonna remove all 4 of these bolts here. And as long as your bolt up top here is tight, the bottom shouldn't go anywhere when these get pulled out, hopefully. Definitely wouldn't suggest taking the bike out for a spin for a beer run at this point though. Make sure you're stocked up before you start this. So now with the longest set of bolts that the kit comes with, as well as these figure 8 washer deals stuck behind them, like that. So I'm just gonna get this all down into place and just kind of snug the bolts up. Not to the point that I'm going to leave them, just the point where this bracket is more or less going to end up resting. Next we'll throw the fender in here. If you're using an aftermarket one, feel free to grab that at this point in time. Yikes. I mean, I guess this is going to work, but to be honest, this would not be, I guess, my first choice as far as the fit up goes. Seems like the fender itself is just not made to be mounted to a flat surface like this, which I guess should be clear by the rounded bracket there. But I didn't realize there'd be that much of a gap between the plastic and the metal. I'll make it work anyways. Maybe I'll try something else aftermarket later. But before we tighten anything down, I'm gonna need some holes in here. And in order to get the holes in the right spot, I'm gonna have to fiddle around with this a bit and get it to a point where I think it looks good. So I think what I'm gonna do is just kind of try and center the fender on the forks, because I think that's just gonna kind of look best. In order to do that, I don't think I actually need to do any marking on the bike at all. Basically what I'm gonna do is just line up the back of the bracket with the kind of back of where the old bracket was on the fender. So there we go, I've basically just recreated what I had on the bike. Alright, I think we are ready to drill some holes. They don't look too terrible. Let's see how it looks on the bike. So maybe a little bit unnecessary, but I put some blue Loctite on my bolts here. Don't forget to put your little figure 8 washers on the back side of it. So the instructions don't call out a torque spec for this. I'm sure you can look one up in your manual. That is what I would recommend doing. However, I'm just gonna kind of get these about as tight as I think they were when I pulled them off.
You want to tighten each of these bolts just a little bit at a time until you get them all down to the required torque spec. The other thing that I would recommend doing is putting your reflector brackets back on. You don't see that in the video, but I did go back and stick them on later. I have them between the head of the bolt and the high fender bracket itself. I actually spun them around, so rather than sticking out forward, they just kind of stick back and end up sort of in line with the fork tubes. They really look pretty good, and I think they are definitely a necessity if you're going to ride at night. You can at least kind of warn the drivers that you're there a little bit before they have to slam on their brakes.
Perfect. So these are going to go head down towards the tire with a washer to keep them from pulling through the fender. Like that. And then the top side will just be a single nylock nut. The washer. It's crooked. Oops, there goes all my bolts.
Well, it looks like that's actually snugging up really nice, and it's definitely a lot more stable than I thought it would be. Seems like the recess on the fender really kind of snugs itself up and holds it pretty sturdy up against that plate. So I wouldn't worry about that at all. I guess it seemed a little funny to me at first, but now I'm completely confident, and even without these tightened all the way down, this thing is really, I think, in a good spot. For me and my type of riding, this is going to be much safer for the bike and for me, so I'm really impressed with it as far as the rigidity and everything goes. I also think it really looks pretty awesome on the bike. If you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them down below. If you want to see videos where I'm out ripping on the TW200 or the Tenere 700, make sure you click the Swanky logo down at the bottom here, click the bell after you're subscribed. Like I said, I put a video at least once a week. If you guys can get out and enjoy this beautiful world on your machine, make sure you do that today. Otherwise, if you can't, check out some more videos over here. Other than that, guys, take care, stay safe, and stay swanky.